Shalom. I'm re-recording this after I I waffled for about 20 minutes, going here and there and didn't really make any sense in the end. So I'll try and be a little bit more focused, I think, this take. Um, and what I'm trying to explore, what I'm trying to, yeah, to try and understand through the texts is what makes a place sacred, and we're looking at different sacred corners of the home. Um, and last week we looked at the doorway, and we saw how it's a place of tension, and it's a place of possibility, and there's lots of rituals around it, and that's what I labeled as sacred. Today I wanted to look at the toilet, the bathroom, the loo, whatever name you use for it, um, as also a place that has tension, danger, possibility, and rituals around it. And maybe see if the word sacred fits onto that. And um, two aspects that I wanted to look at really maybe give us a key to understanding what's so, I don't know, interesting or what's going on here. Um, and those are privacy and body. Okay, and let me explain a little bit what I mean. Uh, each of those things, each of those aspects, are experiences of going to the bathroom, right? So privacy, or maybe let's call it aloneness, being alone, right? So you have the sacred side of being alone, especially if you're in a, I don't know, in a big workspace or in school or in a home that's full of lots of families. Sometimes the only time when you're alone and when you have a bit of quiet is when you go to the toilet, right? And there's actually something amazing about that space and that time when you're just with yourself. And then there's the fear of being alone. Being alone, you don't know what's going to happen, right? Anything could happen when you're alone. And also to do with the body, right? You encounter your body when you go to the toilet, and that's something uh, you could say is kind of the opposite of sacred. Maybe it's like it's not the spirit; it's the body. Um, you encounter the fragility of the body, and you also encounter the wonderfulness of the body. Right? You get to know your body, uh, especially when God forbid, all sorts of medical problems come up, and your body doesn't function in the right way. I'm going to share very quickly four texts that touch on those four aspects, right? The positive and difficult side of being alone, and the positive and difficult side of having a body. And if you look at the source sheet in the comments, you'll see lots and lots and lots of other texts. Really, someone should write a book on the Jewish toilet. Probably someone has. The first text I wanted to look at is from a wonderful tractate of Mishnah called Talmud. And in it, it talks about the temple service and the priests getting ready for the temple. And it talks about the night, during the night, right, before the daily sacrifices. If a priest wakes up in the night and needs to have some kind of ritual immersion, they go through these secret tunnels underneath the temple in Jerusalem. It's a wonderful text. It's very fantastic. There's fire burning on both sides, and they go through these tunnels until they get to Beit Kiseh Shel Kavod, the toilet of honor. Okay, and it's a fantastic title for this place. There's this toilet under the temple, which has the Kiseh Shel Kavod is also the name for God's holy throne. Right, so there's a strange parallel there, and why is it called the toilet of honor? What's honorable about it? It has a door. It has a door, and if the door is open, then people know that there's nobody there. And if the door is closed, people know that someone is there. That's all it says about it. And something amazing. Like, what makes this place so honorable and holy and special, Beit Kiseh Shel Kavod, is it allows for privacy. Okay? And then we also have the flip side of being alone is it's terrifying sometimes to be alone. Right? You have all these kind of childhood fears of being locked in the toilet, or if people have died on the toilet. Right? There's something very, very scary about it. There's a story, I won't get into it too much, but there's all sorts of traditions of demons around the toilet in the Talmud. And one rabbi, Rava, there's two rabbis, right? Abaye and Rava. Abaye's mother gave him a little lamb who would accompany him to the bathroom. So he wouldn't be alone. I don't know why he's not alone in the bathroom. He has a lamb that goes with him. Okay? Rava, on the other hand, his wife, gave him a rattle, which is a nut in a copper vessel, and he would shake it when he was in the toilet to ward off these demons. And later, that wasn't enough, so his wife made a window above him, and she would put her hand on his head while he was there. And it's kind of weird and funny, and we can either laugh at it or we can try and understand what the deeper meaning of it. But on its surface level, he's not alone, right? There's this fear of being alone, and then there's a comforting hand on his head saying, I know where you are. It's a little bit like the high priest on Yom Kippur, who would go to the Holy of Holies. He'd be the only one in there, and everyone was standing outside, hoping that he would survive this sacred encounter on Yom Kippur. And he would have bells on his clothes, so people would be able to hear if he was still alive, and he'd have a rope attached to him that if something went wrong, he would be able to be dragged out. Right? So it's another kind of temple sacred parallel to the toilet. To do with these demons, there's a set of blessings that are said before and after going to the toilet, right? And for some reason, the blessings before have dropped out of use, and the one after is still said by many people. And before going to the toilet, the blessing in the Talmud is you say goodbye to the angels who are accompanying you, right? There's no place for angels in the toilet. Say goodbye, goodbye. Wait for me, support me, help me, guard me. There's a wonderful blessing there. And after coming out, there's a blessing where you admit that you are human. Right? Also with the angels, that blessing says, you say to the angels, wait for me, because this is the way of man. When I go into the toilet, that's what bodies have to do. You don't know because you're an angel, but I have a body, and what it means to have a body is to go to the toilet. Afterwards, you speak to God, right? There's a blessing to God, and it says, it's revealed and known before the throne of glory, Kiseh Kavod, right? The same term that we had for that wondrous toilet in the temple. It's revealed and known before you that my body is exactly like this, and if it was any different, if it had less holes or more holes, if it worked any different, it would be impossible for me to survive and stand before you. I can't be a religious person without my body functioning in the way that it does. And that blessing finishes with the line, Rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot, the healer of all flesh who performs miracles. And why is it miracles? Because it's a miracle to be alive. It's a miracle to be alive. And that's, in a way, that's one of the wonderful things that actually the encounter with the body in the toilet is a reflection not only on the possibility of not everything working out, and on sickness and on death and on fear and demons and so on. It's also a reflection on how wonderful it is to be alive, right? For the body to function. And we have lots of sources from the Shulchan Aruch and from the Hasidic sources of the Baal Shem Tov, of recognizing the body in that situation, even to the point that on one hand you're not meant to think any words of Torah, not meant to think holy thoughts in the bathroom. Okay, and there's one exception. What's the exception? You can think about God's self, right? You can't think about any details of the Torah or so on, but God is surely relevant even there. So I hope I touched on a little bit of the complexity of this space. Again, read the source sheet because there's a lot there to explore. And as usual, you can reach out to me, write to me if you have any thoughts and anything you want to explore further.